In this recording, you will learn about vendor certification in the Quality Management Suite. To purchase items, many industries require certified vendors with certificates like FDA, FSSAI, and ISO. Vendor certification is an essential part of quality management. You can identify the vendor quality parameters and their related certification start and expiry dates with vendor certification. Assign the certificate and control the vendor-related transactions like PO and PR creation and posting, GRN posting, etc. Automatically restrict the vendor during PO or GRN transactions. With Quality Management Suite, the system can warn, restrict, and hold, based on the settings done at Purchase Order Preference, which we will see in this recording later. Let's look into the product. We will see the certificate configuration. Here, you can see the list of certificates created. Let's go to the FDA. You can create a new certificate. You can add the name and description of the certificate. You can add the attributes of the certificate. In ID, you mention the attribute name. Here, we have the issue date of the certificate, registration number, registration agent, and expiry year. We see that attributes can be added having these four value types that are date, alphanumeric, Boolean, and numeric. Going to the vendor screen, we have a certification tab here, where certificates created can be associated with the vendor. Here, the FDA is associated with this vendor. You can mention the start and end date. If the certificate is mandatory for a vendor to have, we can mark this checkbox as a mandatory certificate. Let's see the attributes of the certificate. These are the attributes that a certificate must have. If a certificate check not required is marked, then the system will validate this first and won't stop you from proceeding with the vendor even if the certificate is not present. Also, it is applicable when the certificate is expired. You can add a certificate at the item class and stock item level as well. Let's go to the item class screen. Here, let's say you want to associate a specific certificate to the item class food items. You can select the item class. In the Certification tab, you need to mark the certificate required checkbox. You can add a certificate for the specific item class here that you have configured and mark it as mandatory if required. Similarly, you can apply certification to the child item class like packaged foods. And, going on the Action button, you need to click Apply QC to stock item if certification is applied to the parent batch, and click Apply to children. If there's a different certification associated with the child item class, then you need to select the Apply QC to stock item. Now, let's go to the stock item. Open the stock item. In the Certification tab, we see we can associate the certification here at the stock item level as well. Now, let's go to the Purchase Order screen. To create a new purchase order, we will select the vendor ID. We will select the item. And enter the order quantity. Save it. and remove the hold. The system will prompt an error that the PO cannot be generated as the certificate has expired. This is due to the setting done at the purchase order preference. We will go to the purchase order preference screen. Here in the certificate settings section, we see that the certificate level is selected as the vendor only, and PO from an uncertified vendor is selected as a hold. Here, you can set certain settings for the vendor certification. Certification level. The vendor only denotes that the certificate is required at the vendor level only. On both vendor and stock item denote that the certificate is required at the vendor and stock item level. You can put limitations on the purchase order, receipt, and the bill screen. Limitations can be set as no action, restrict, warn, and hold. No action denotes the system will let you move ahead with the creation of purchase orders, receipts, and bills. Restrict denotes the system will restrict from moving ahead and we cannot proceed unless the certification is applied. Warn denotes the system will warn you before moving ahead and proceeding further if the certificate is not associated. Hold denotes the system will not let us unhold and move ahead with the transaction. In upcoming release, you will be able to do this for purchase receipt as well. Going back to the purchase order screen. In the Vendor Info tab, you can check the certification details in the certificate section. Let's go to the search bar and open the vendor certificate status screen. We can see the details of the vendor, validity, expiration, and status of the certificate. Hope, in this recording, you learn how to set up and configure the vendor certificate in the Quality Management Suite. Thank you.